So the 2015 Mr. Olympia is over. I did stay up late last night and watch the whole thing live. Kind of wish I hadn't because you already kind of knew that Phil was going to take it. I mean, whether he looked the best or not, he was going to win. So it was kind of a waste of time. I could have just woke up next morning and watched it, but I don't know. For some reason, I still wanted to see what happened, particularly with that top four being so close. Um, it's one of those things where yes, it's upsetting that Phil won, and yes, I don't think he should have won, but it wasn't quite as clear cut as in years past. Nothing like last year where he very obviously was not the winner. This time, I would really say if you took those top four guys, if you took Phil and you took Dennis Wolf and you took Sean Roden and you took Dexter Jackson and put them all on a scale of 1 to 100, they'd each be within a couple points of each other. It was really close between those four, and it's not as crazy that Phil won this year, but at the same time, I honestly would have had Phil third or fourth overall. Dexter, I would have had winning the whole thing. Sean Roden neck to neck, like right behind him, and then Dennis and Phil fighting for that third spot. So overall, a disappointment, but not an unexpected disappointment. Actually, the much more upsetting thing, the much more ridiculous aspect was not Phil winning, but Branch Warren's placement was unbelievable. Branch getting sixth place was ridiculous. Rolly Winkler destroyed Branch. He was easily, significantly better than Branch. Not only that, there were even a few guys below him. Basically, anyone else who was in the top 10 definitely beat Branch Warren. It's unbelievable that he was that high. He should have been like 12th place. Branch Warren being sixth is just absurd. That was unbelievable, and it makes absolutely no sense. So, of course, the Open was a big disappointment. I actually got more enjoyment out of the 212. It seemed to be a much more interesting and dynamic group, and it seemed to be more fair in the judgment, and I really agree with how it turned out, not just personally, but it seemed more like it turned out the way it should have. It felt more right, something about that group, with Flex Lewis winning, and Flex was a great example of what you want as a spokesperson, as what the type of personality you want as a champion. He was just a real class act, and it really, to me, highlighted how much Phil is not that, comparing his speech when he won to Phil's. It's night and day, and Phil being booed on stage when he's announced as Mr. Olympia, he is one of the most hated champions in Olympia history for a reason. He is very undeserving and just does not seem like a good figurehead for the sport. And it's just unbelievable. And then looking at the differences in the prize money, the whole thing was absurd, where you had the IFBB really kind of toting how wonderful we are and trying to really get all the athletes to mention whenever they speak, whenever they do a speech, anything to mention how wonderful the IFBB is and the great opportunities, and doing things like, you know what, we're going to do something major. We're going to have the 212 on the main stage, and we're going to do this, and oh, look how wonderful we are. Well, why weren't they there to begin with? They should always have been and should be on the main. That's not a big deal. That's just finally making things fair. Finally making one aspect fair does not make you wonderful. It shows how crappy you were before. And then talking about how much they've upped the prize money. They've upped the prize money, but it really is only significant if you are, say, the top 5, and if you're in the Open. If you are in the 212, it's abysmal, the differences in the prize money. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And they're underappreciated, and even upping that prize money, it's not upped a lot. Phil winning, $400,000 is great, but considering, comparing to other sports and considering how much the Federation makes, even just over Olympia weekend, the prizes are nothing. Having right around, just shy of $1 million in prizes overall for all the athletes, it's nothing. I mean, it really isn't. It's unbelievable how little it is, and they were trying to trying to say that it was this huge big deal. And again, it's just one of those things where them trying to slightly improve something doesn't make you better. It just shows how bad you are. And everything was like that. The whole event was just a big disappointment, and it was more like a really poorly done commercial for the IFBB than a competition. It was unbelievable. but at the same time, it was expected. It was disappointing, and again, to me, the thing that stood out as the most disappointing though was Branch, just because it was senseless. It was absolutely absurd. Came out of nowhere. I mean, Phil was very expected. We all know about the issues of prize money and how the 212 is underappreciated, and we know all of that with the athletes and how they're treated and things. But yeah, Branch, that I have no idea where that came from. So kind of regretting staying up and watching that, and now, it's the next day, and I've all this work to do, and now I'm tired, and it wasn't worth it. And I don't know if going on. I don't know how much more I'm going to watch any sort of competitions with the IFBB. I don't know. It depends what happens now with the NPC, what's going on, but I'm just kind of done with it. And there were other things going on that were exciting. The same day as the finals, earlier in the day, Kai Green had a big meet and greet, and that was really exciting to see. A little clip from that he put up on his Facebook page, and it's unbelievable the amount of people that turned up to that. The same day as the finals in the Olympia, and it really shows the amount of support, and really shows how much people are fed up with how things are going down with the IFBB. And I think the big challenge is going to be the IFBB is such a power-hungry, greedy unit that it has so much control over these athletes and over their careers, where most people, I feel, are going to be far too afraid to challenge or leave the IFBB, because for most people that have done that in the past, it hasn't worked out for them. It's really just kind of destroyed their career, and I think a lot of people are just going to stay and stick it out and do the best that they can, and I think that's part of the problem. I really hope the NPC takes this next year or two to really build themselves up and show they can be successful and they can offer the athletes a better alternative. Either that or the existence of something like that finally creates a major shakeup within the IFBB, and they change themselves. So either way, I hope one of those two things happens. We'll have to see how a lot of big players, do things, how people like, Dana and Bailey go ahead, and what is she going to be up to? What is Kai really going to be doing? What are a lot of these big names that are really popular in social media? Those are the people that can move fan bases, and it really is dependent upon a lot of what those people are doing. And looking at outside the scenes, what is Arnold Schwarzenegger going to do? He very openly speaks out against how the IFBB has turned out, especially the judging. And what is he going to do? What is he going to support? Is he going to try and change the IFBB from within? Is he going to show his support for the NPC? What's he going to do? What are the challenges in doing anything really with the Arnold Classic? Does he have enough power and influence still to really make those changes and maybe make a change within the Arnold Classic or start a new contest? Who knows what's going to happen? A lot of big changes are going down, but again, the Olympia itself, very disappointing, very surprising, and ultimately not really worth watching.